Greetings, Light Tribe. Janine Palmer here, Spirit Silver Moon, for Harmony Energy Healing. And sometimes discussions with friends inspire me to talk about a particular subject. And I was talking to my friend Marcia, and thank you for this today. And we were talking about how it feels when it seems like someone doesn't like us, or that's what we perceive, or whatever. And then about people's reactions to things that are good when they want to pick them apart. So this is my limited understanding of it to date, related to things I went through actually many years ago. Things come in and out of our awareness. And it's when sometimes people are feeling like, oh, someone doesn't like me. Well, that could come from fears and insecurities of ourselves, like not accepting ourselves enough, or being doubting, or just unhealed issues. There's a lot of things that could apply, but this conversation was more like about, let's say that with what life is dealing out to us each individually, things that come across our path that we either created, co-created, drew in, happened for the purpose of testing us, for us to have an experience, determine what we are going to do about that, work through it, to get through it, what we learn from it, how we're going to deal with it, what we're going to do with it, how it's going to shift us or redirect us or whatever. And that can get pretty deep. So in other words, when each individual is facing, processing, going through different life events, okay, however we're dealing with that, or not dealing with it, or whatever, we're still, some part of us is shifting and changing. So maybe we're changing on a level that we don't realize, and someone else picks up on that, on our energy. And so maybe they're distant, and we think, oh, they don't like us. But something might be changing in us, again, that we're not totally aware, and they're not. There's a change in energy. So even when you go through horrible things and you lose friends, some people don't want to deal with your stuff, or they don't know how, or not your stuff, but what you're facing and processing. Okay. And so they might just not care enough, or not have the tools to be present. And this is kind of how we learn how our true friends are, when there's hardships, and they can't be present, or won't be present, or whatever. So when we are going through that, if we are feeling very down and very negative, and we're talking and expressing, and it's coming out as negativity, because what we're going through feels extremely negative, because we don't understand it, we're trying to process it. That lower energy, someone might not want to be around, so it seems like they don't like us, but we're usually in the process of changing somehow, and eventually we begin to rise out of that, hopefully. So again, it's a change in us that we might not be aware of. Complaining only keeps an individual stuck, but sometimes as their mind is trying to understand something that it probably can't totally understand, the discussions that are coming out are looping, and they're focusing on that event, which is a lower vibrational or negative event. So, and then similarly, a friend or a person we know might be going through something that we may or may not know about. Sometimes we know about it, don't understand it, sometimes we don't. They're going through something, so they're changing, and we might keep our distance, and so even their behavior, we might think they don't like us, or vice versa. So sometimes what we perceive isn't true, and we believe things that aren't true that cause us to suffer, as Adi Shanti talks about. Okay, so that's just a little bit more in-depth view into when it seems like people don't like us, and things are almost always never what they appear. And sometimes if we feel like someone doesn't like us, maybe because there's something about us that we don't like in ourselves, and so we're afraid that someone else isn't going to like it too. So whenever we do self-healing work, that helps. And then the other thing that she and I were talking about is like how people do good works in this world and people will still try to put them down. For instance, she was mentioning how Oprah built a girls' school somewhere that it was needed and people were trying to pick it apart and put it down. Now, let's just take a second here. There are some countries where only boys get to go to school. Like, girls don't fucking matter. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say, this is like probably PG-13. This is not G-rated. All these are not about, rainbows and unicorns. So sometimes if it's a passionate thing, certain words come out and they're not meant to be offensive, but it's probably PG-13. So anyway, yeah, there are places in the world, thanks to cultures and patriarchal religions, that squash the divine feminine. So, well, girls aren't allowed to go to school. So men fear women and the divine feminine enough to try to keep them squashed in some ideology or lowly station? Really? Wow. Okay. But anyway, carrying right along. Oprah did something good, and some people want to bash it and put it down. So what is that? Inferior and superior. So does someone feel so inferior that they have to look for the bad in things and pick it apart and bash it, and then that kind of makes them feel superior? I mean, is that what it is? To where someone can't just appreciate someone doing good for someone else or something else and just look for the beauty and say, you know what, I honor that. Yay, something good happening in our world. Why can't so many people do that? Let's just pick it apart. Let's find fault in what someone else does. But is there fault in that? Maybe not. So when people are finding fault in things, it's a reflection of them. It's a reflection of their issues and their negativity and their unhealed wounds. Everyone on this planet has unhealed wounds. Okay? And we don't heal ourselves by harming others. Okay? So when you're looking for the bad and you're trying to do stuff to take people down, you're going to have to experience that in some way, shape, or form. So, interesting topics of discussion of what we find to focus on and why and what it reflects. See, some people who are too busy trying to put people down, take people down, they don't realize what it's reflecting in them. And they don't like it when other people find out about it. Sometimes they just find someone they can target and they think that that's the only person they're targeting, but if someone else finds out what they're doing, they don't like that. So anyway, it's just food for thought about what do we focus on and why and what is it showing about us. We are mirrors for ourselves and others. We're showing something about ourselves that we might not realize. We're shining a light on our dark parts, the unhealed parts. All for awareness on our little PG-13 channel here. Thank you. Bye.